Well, it looks like school is in, and I'm just kind of curious because it doesn't seem like a lot of districts and schools themselves are in alignment when it comes to what they're going to do with smart devices. I don't know why nobody can really agree on this. Are we going to take them away? We're going to give them to the kids for a little bit? Seem like in Broward schools, at least in the high schools, you're going to have to put your smart devices up, but then you get them for lunch. How that even works and you coordinate that, I don't know. Like, how do you make sure that the kids return it? I would just think that pretty much every kid is going to have their smart device. I've got a kid that's a junior in high school. I would not trust him to have his device put away. And I would bet you anything, I would see that device later on in the day. Be like, you're not supposed to have that. Be like, oh, man, I forgot. Yeah, you did.
Well, I never thought the day would come when I could speak from this perspective. But as a mother who was on the phone with her child during an active shooter situation when her daughter was in school
at Florida State
University last year, when there was an active shooter just, I don't know, a half a football field away from her where she was.
Yep.
I can tell you I'm pretty happy she had her phone with her so she could speak to me and I could tell her to flip the desk over and hide behind it and pray.
But isn't that something that, I mean, when you talk about schools themselves, I think they unfortunately have to do the active shooter drills now, and they have it with the kids. And my only thought on that is, if you had a smart device, sure, you could alert your parents, but at the same time, that itself can be a distraction where you need your focus and attention in the here and now. You're in a life or death situation. We've already trained you on what to do. You talking to your mom and her telling you what to do.
She panicked. She didn't know what to do. She called me to ask what to do. And she said, Mom, should I just grab my stuff and run out of there? I said, absolutely not. She was ready to grab her stuff and run out of the building. And I was like, no, stay where you are. Pull the desk over you and hide and make no noise whatsoever.
But college would be different than a high school. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it is a little bit different because
she was in the library at Florida State University.
And
here
the
you're
shooter
talking
was
about
in front of the student union.
Right here, you're talking about kids that would be in a classroom where they would have somebody instructing them saying, okay, I need everybody down. You got to stay quiet. And if phones are going off and people are on the phones and they're crying and their parents are alarmed and now the kid's even more alarmed, that you lose maybe some focus that you need in the minute. And I do understand. Look, you do want that peace of mind, but I know you're going to get an update as soon as they humanly can do it, as soon as the crisis is averted.
I just don't know if there's ever going to be a right way to handle it because every situation is different. And every active shooter situation has different idiosyncrasies that you can't predict or plan for. It sucks.
But don't you have to lead that up to the instructor to say, hey, we've got somebody here that's trained in this. They're able to assess the immediate situation happening right now and instruct these kids to do the best thing to keep them alive. And that, to me, is the most solid argument for kids having their smart devices during school. And that really is about the one solo reason where I could see a need for a kid to have those. The flip side is from the distractions to cheating to bullying to everything else that can go on. There just seems to be an avalanche of negatives on smart devices in kids' hands throughout the entire school day.
You're right too. High school and college is different. High school is a little bit more. You're not really able to just do as you want like you are in college. In college, you can get up in the middle of class, walk out, no one's going to stop you, and you can walk around the campus. You can't do that at a lot of high school, so it is a different situation.
Right. So I'm just kind of curious how it is. Denny's was even telling me that his wife, Jen, that, they're experimenting with when kids can have it and when they shouldn't. And it seems like right now, maybe the most lenient or the best policy would be only at lunch. And that's why I was just kind of curious if there are any high schoolers in Broward. Is that effective? Can you actually get those smart devices back, or do they actually get put away, or do they just get put into a pocket or a purse that they pull out later and you realize half of my class or more actually has their smart devices on them during a test or later on, and there's phones going off and there's distractions all over the classroom?
If you got smartphones in the classroom, you've got cheating. And I'm sure teachers have had to battle that for so long now.
Yeah.
It's got to be annoying.
Stephanie said, as a teacher, you don't consider yourself to be a professional in assessing an active shooter situation. We're just as scared. And absolutely, I do understand that. But I have been in situations where there's one voice that is a leader versus individual conversations that are going on with parents and everything else, and you've got 10 kids getting 10 different sets of instructions on what to do and how to handle it, where I think in that moment you would want one unified voice that is saying, hey, if you get this situation, here's what you need to do.
And I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. There's different little idiosyncrasies that happen in every situation, but I'm sure there's a overall guide of at least 3 things you can do during a situation like that everyone would probably agree this is the best way to handle it.
Well, when I was on the phone with her, it wasn't her just by herself. So she found 2 other kids that she'd never known before. And the 3 of them were trying to figure out what to do together. One kid wanted to stay put and hide, and the other girl wanted to run. And Magnolia was like, should I run, Mom? Should I just go run? And so I don't think everybody's prepared. And even if you are prepared, in the moment, you can go blank and forget what to do.
I'm curious how prepared do teachers feel that they are in classrooms, and I'm talking all the way up to the high school level. Do you feel like you're prepared? Have you been instructed? Would you know if you were in a Uvalde type of situation or Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, heaven forbid, again, that you'd be like, okay,
here's what we do.
Clearly instructed. I know exactly what to do. I want the kids' attention and focus on me, and I want them focused on the moment to survive and not having anything that increases their level of panic or increases noise as well. That'd be the one thing I'd be most worried about, especially like in the Uvalde situation. It seems like the person had a good bit of time and they're listening for anybody that might be moving or whatnot. And if you've got a conversation going on, they hear something like, okay, where is that coming from? That's why I don't think a phone would be helpful in those moments for students. So, yeah, I'd love to hear what kids have got to say, or instructors as well. Have you found a great policy with your school? Is it taking the phone away all day? Is it giving it to them at lunch? Or is it letting the kids have free reign and use it responsibly? Somebody texted in and said, in Japan, they're supposed to bring their smart devices, but they use them for a much different reason.
Yeah, you're not going to be...
Those kids in Japan seem to be on a different level.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do to make the kids love education there. And they seem to struggle here in America, but it seems to be different.
Their TikTok is educational.
Yes.
There's no dance videos on their TikTok.
We handle our phones a little differently.
We do. Absolutely. All right. We can always sound off here. 877-979-WRMF. 877-979-9763. One text says, I am a safe school officer. Literally, my job description is to protect children from school shooters. Cell phones cause more problems than anything because parents then drive to the school. Now officers have to deal with the shooter and also at the same time trying to keep the parents out. Another person said an 8th grader has to keep it away all day from the first bell to the very last. They can't even use it at lunch. Socially and academically, there has been a big improvement, according to a few St. Lucie County teachers I know.
Imagine that.
So completely taking the phones away all day seems to be working best there.
Now, if the kids could be #be cool and not use them at the wrong time,
yeah.
But good luck with that.
Kids can't be cool.
Yeah.
No, can't at all. Another text says, teachers are trained on what to do if you do have an active shooter situation. Also, at least at my high school, students' phones are in the classroom. They're just either in a phone holder or in their backpacks at the front of the classroom. So if there was an emergency, they're able to use their phone. When they go to lunch or in between classes, they can also use their phone.
I mean, I don't hate that. As long as you're not on the phone during, the lesson.
Yep. I think my only question is that how effective is that? Because I've just found sometimes when dealing with kids, if you have any kind of gray area in between, they will take full advantage of it, and it becomes very frustrating. Having an all or nothing, black or white type policy sometimes seems to be more effective.
You still could have, look, if I see you use it, you lose it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it sounds like that's what a lot of people are doing. I'm just curious, how effective is that? And another text says, as an elementary teacher, we just had a code red yesterday where we practice where to hide and what to do. There are 20 kids and a teacher in a very tight space. Cell phones would cause so many more problems in that instance. As of now, elementary kids in Palm Beach County cannot have their phones out during school hours.
Well, back in the day, we used to always do fire drills. That was what we did. And I was always so cozy when they would happen. Would you guys get pumped for a fire drill?
Just to get out of class.
Well, it was one time there was a test. I was just bound. I was going to fail it. It was good, and the fire alarm went off.
Saved by the bell, they say.
Saved by the bell.
Literally.
Did you pay somebody to pull it?
No, but I tell you what.
Tiffany from Jupiter, you've done something rather interesting, maybe that can walk all around this and still accomplish the same thing. Your key is using smartwatches with your kids. What do you do, Tiffany?
So, hey, good morning, guys. So I have 2 elementary-aged children, and I'll only speak to elementary age because I'm a firm believer that until you experience a certain stage with your children, you really don't have any evidence to be able to give opinions, such as middle school and high school. I do know that it's a dangerous slippery slope with the cell phones because honestly, like I see my kids on them when they're at home, and it's kind of like putting a pile of crack next to a crackhead and saying, "Don't take this."
Right, because they're literally addicted to them. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. So we have these Gizmo watches. Verizon issues them, and they're not. It's not like an Apple Watch where it's got like all the functions and features and everything. The main reason we use it is because it's got a GPS tracker on it, and I can send pre-scheduled or predicted text messages to them, certain specific ones. Now, I have parental control over it, so I can close it out during the school day where my children cannot use it, but I can actively track them. So, it's great that the teachers are trained on what to do when the kids are in the classroom, but my kids go outside to play at recess. My kids change classes to go to art class and go to the lunchroom. So God forbid, and trust me, I worry about this every day that those kids go to school. Yeah. God forbid something happens if they're in one of those public forums. How am I going to find my kid, right? Do I have to sift through like injured children to try and like locate my child? Like it scares the poop out of me. So the policy is that they're supposed to keep them in their book bags. It's great that I can track my child's book bag, but I'd rather be able to track my child.
Yeah. That's smart. I do really like that because, I'm sure a lot of us still, those images are burned into our brains at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Remember when they had the kids and they're all exiting the school and which direction is everybody going? And that would be one of those situations. You'd be like, where exactly in this moment is my child? So that's pretty smart. I like what you're doing there, Tiffany. Thank you for sharing.